Alright, this is a question on bodybuilding.com forums. What's wrong with my shoulder? Let's go see for Philly Cheese 92. He says, I say it's sketchy because it isn't really specific pain besides the general soreness and stiffness throughout the left side of my upper back lat area. My shoulder has been rather stiff and cracking a lot. Last week when I struggled to put up 225 for 2 reps, I decided to start doing some shoulder rehab exercises. That's when I really noticed the problem. All the various cable exercises I was doing, I was literally able to do less than half the weight for my left shoulder than my right. This has me seriously worried. Has anyone had a similar experience? Will rehab bring it back up to pace? Edit. I think that it might be muscle knotting under my left shoulder blade. Will that make sense? So, I got some good news for you, buddy. Philly Cheese 92. I've had the same situation you were in, almost the same situation earlier this year, and it sucked. I struggled to lift any weight. Basically, my shoulders hurt. Like it was not specific. It just didn't feel good. I was tight. I don't know. It felt like yours. Not much different. But with the 1 week left side, I mean, the shoulders are complicated. Like, you know, Brendan 061 said, it's if only shoulders were that simple. And it's tough, you know, because I work with people 10, 12 years for personal training and run into issues. And there's a lot of different things I've learned, and I'll teach you a few things to understand about the shoulder. Maybe it'll help you out, maybe it'll help explain what caused your problem in the first place. Now, the way the shoulder is supposed to work is supposed to internal and external rotate, right? So as you lower the weight or the bench, you get some external rotation of the shoulders winding really, really tight. And as you push, you get some internal rotation as you extend. Now, the problem is when you don't have proper range of motion of internal and external rotation, you'll get some translation into the shoulder. So instead of having good, I'm just showing you this, instead of having this good range of motion or having good sliding surfaces in the shoulder, what ends up happening is you'll as the weight gets heavy and you lose stability, I'm just using this as an example. As you lower the weight, your shoulder internally rotates, and then what happens is you'll get some shoulder elevation. Hey, buddy, I'm doing a recording. Can you wait, please? Ender, I'm doing a recording. Okay. So as you lower the weight, your shoulder will internally rotate, which is not bad. You don't actually that is bad because when you lower the weight, your shoulder shouldn't internally rotate. It should stay solid as you lower it. And when I say rotation, you just got to imagine this rotating this way or rotating this way. So just imagine a circle kind of this way. So as you lower the weight, internal rotation of the shoulder, or external rotation of the shoulder, I'm sorry. And then what happens is if you don't have good external and internal rotation and flexibility, as you come back, you'll get some dumping of the shoulder. So instead of getting solid and getting your elbow to come back, you're going to get this motion, this dumping of the shoulder. So as you lower the bench, you'll kind of get this. It could be more one side than the other. And to put it in a simple manner of speaking, things run into one another, like the scapula, the supraspinatus, a lot of stuff in the shoulder joint start to conflict. And the way I explain it to clients is it's almost like your gears start to grind. When your shoulder loses bad position, you get in a bad position with your shoulders, shoulder elevation, for example, and internal rotation, the gears get in a position where they're easily grinding. They grind together, and that's really bad. Another way, too, is think of a flathead screwdriver trying to unwind a Phillips head screw. It's going to strip it, and that's kind of what ends up happening. Now, what's wrong with your shoulder to kind of give you some stuff to do? Oh, your question is, well, if I rehab it, will it get back to normal? And yes, it will get back to normal, but you really have to spend the time to really take care of it. And that's not just strengthening. That means getting full range of motion in the shoulder, because when you don't have good range of motion in the shoulder, what will happen is as you get stronger, you will compensate more and more. And it will kind of gradually change as you make progress. But as you compensate more and more, what will end up happening is you're going to start to get into bad positions, taking riskier positions. Like for me, I bench pressed 275 for 5 reps, 3 sets. I was pretty proud of that. And on each of the sets, second and third set, my shoulders, as I kind of lower the weight and I push, on repetition 4 and 5 of most of the sets, at least that I remember from last week, is that my shoulders begin to separate a little bit. So when my shoulders separate from the back, I get some protraction and some internal rotation. Again, getting into that kind of bad shoulder position. And everyone does it from time to time. It's just that when you have heavy loads and you repeat over and over again, you're putting yourself at risk to get hurt or cause joint or tendon inflammation. A lot of little variables that can change. But the best thing that you're on the right track about how one side is weaker than the other. One of the reasons that happens, I'll ramble a little bit here. One of the things that happens is your arm is trying to protect itself and doesn't want to get hurt. So when it senses something unstable or it senses in a position where it might hurt itself, what's going to end up happening, it's not going to move in that direction. It's going to stop itself. It's sort of kind of like if I were to try to poke my eye's going to automatically blink. It's something similar to that idea. Your arm is trying to protect itself, and the human body is very resilient. It'll keep you moving, but it will start to pull stuff back, like your strength and stability. It'll pull back your strength because of your lack of stability in the shoulder. But foam rolling, using a lacrosse ball, massaging, getting some mobility back in the shoulder is really going to help. Some stretching your shoulder, getting some good. Go look at the mobilitywod.com or look up Kelly Starrett. He's got some really great stuff on shoulder mobility. There's lots of things you can do, but get full range in your shoulder, or as much range as you can. Use a lacrosse ball, use a foam roller, get some stretching done, and do the rotator cuff exercises because they will all work. Work on your posture, and then we'll get back to normal. Again, going back to my experience, what happened to me, man, the weight, 185 felt heavy, man. It was ridiculous. And then I stopped benching for a while, then I went back to it, then I got strong again. So it's kind of like you have to go back and forth. Once you start to as you get better at lifting and you make progress throughout the year, you're going to start to notice that you're kind of heading in that range where you'll start to have like little minor aches and pains, and then you kind of push through those aches and pains, and then you kind of get through them, and then you have more aches and pains, and you push through them, and then you kind of get hurt or irritated, your shoulder gets irritated, and then you kind of have to step back. So it's kind of knowing when to stop or adjust. Typically, like I was benching every day, like 5 days a week for the last 4 weeks, moderate weight, and I was getting stronger, but guess what happened? I started to have some minor problems. So because I've had minor problems, I cut down my benching, and that's kind of what happened. Hope that helps.